Hello, welcome to Directly to You. It's episode 188 of our podcast called Directly to You, fanatixfour's podcast. I am AJ of fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker, also of fanatixfour. We play video games and whatnot. He talked. He did it last time I brought it up and you fixed it. That's great.
Yeah, I did.
You can support this show by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour. Again, $4.99. And it don't even got to be yours if you got Amazon Prime. You can link it to your Twitch account. You get Prime Gaming, you get a free sub on Jeffy B. What do you get for that sub? You get access to the supporters on Discord where we record this show. You get loyalty badges. You get free Switch keys from time to time. You get just a great old fun time. You get to have love in your heart,
Without it, best of luck, I guess.
It's additional love, Parker.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Anyways, even if you're not a Twitch sub or YouTube member or Jeffy B doesn't spot you to $4.99, you can access our Discord anyway. It's linked in the description. Also, if you are watching this and you can see this right now on youtube.com/directly to you, but you don't listen on podcast services, you can search Directly to You and you'll see us on other podcast services that you can download the show, and it helps us out. You don't have to listen to it on podcast services. You just got to download it and it helps us out. That'd be great. And if you already do listen to us on podcast services, you should subscribe. youtube.com/directly to you. Also, if somehow you found us through the podcast, or maybe you found through Twitch and then you're like, oh, they got a podcast, I don't listen to the podcast, but you never saw us on YouTube, subscribe on that channel too.
Yeah.
And I should have mentioned this when I mentioned the podcast services, but rate and review. We play video games here. What video games are you playing?
Real quick. I wonder what did you say? I guess you were talking about Prime, and I was thinking Amazon Prime. I wonder what's like the most healthy subscription service going on right now in terms of because there's some that are growing faster than others, but they're probably like newer than others. So that doesn't necessarily mean health. That's maybe more just like them catching up. Whereas Netflix has been around for the longest, but I think it's kind of dwindling in terms of, you know what I mean? So like, which one's the one that's the most like just doing
that, like consistently grows the most?
Yeah, I guess, maybe Amazon Prime.
I would assume either Amazon Prime or Netflix, but Amazon Prime feels like the one that would make the most sense because it is like the only one that I feel like you kind of gotta.
Yeah, right. You don't drop it because you get too used to the 2-day shipping. And it's
and
like so many couple of things.
Exactly. It's so many other things that like people get subscription service, like Netflix, for instance, right? You get a lesser, but a version of Netflix just by having Prime, because then you have Prime Video,
That's true.
And you don't have to subscribe to a music thing because you got Prime Music and blah blah blah. All that to say, get Amazon Prime so Jeffy B will give you $4.99. JK, don't do that for that. It's not worth. But if you already have it, that'd be great. Video games.
Yes, video games. I look like I'm playing more video games than I am. I realized this week because I'm playing Pokemon Legends Arceus on my profile. Ashley's playing Pokemon Legends Arceus on her Switch on my profile. And my godson is playing Pokemon Legends Arceus on his Switch on my profile. So there's probably like some of the time that you're playing and it's like Parker's playing Pokemon now. Some of that time is me. A lot of it is not. So yeah, this week's been really busy. But yeah, I've been playing some of it and still having a good time with it. I can go to the 5th area now, but I'm just doing like some little side questy things in the meantime. And yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot more to say about it than we've said other times, but it's a fun little time. It is fun though, watching Ashley play it. And just, she's getting better at video games just by playing one video game that she likes, which is I think typically the way those kinds of things go. But like, I mean, people, some of you guys know Breath of the Wild was the first game that I played with a 3D camera, but I mean, with a
good one.
Oh yeah, a good one. Other than like, Mario 64 or Twilight Princess or something like that, where it is in 3D.
There's a camera, but they're not good cameras.
You're right. So, but yeah, Breath of the Wild was the first game like that. And it took, probably the first little bit of the Great Plateau to kind of get familiar with it. And then a little bit longer for me to not like accidentally crouch every time I am trying to run away from something scary or whatever. but then I got used to it pretty quick. And then that just like, propels you into all the other games. So all that to say, I'm curious now that Ashley has played Pokemon Legends Arceus, if she would find Breath of the Wild less daunting for one thing, and then want to play it is probably the bigger question. Because I think right now still a lot of what is exciting about Pokemon is like, oh, it's these cute Pokemon. But like last night, she not really. It's not spoilers. So whatever, it's not spoilers. She got to the end of the 5th area. And with most games, when you get to the end of a certain spot and you're like, that's probably the end of the game, there's probably a little bit more.
LOL.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I still don't know how much more there is, but she was playing her my sister-in-law was spending the night. And so Ash was like, I just want to get to the end, just find Arceus, meet Arceus again, whatever, something, and I was like, I don't think there's less than an hour left. And
oh my God, you're Trev.
I was like,
I was just about to say, I freaking streamed this game, and I think we talked about that. I streamed it for 12 hours. It was torturous.
Because you thought it was going to be almost done.
Because at the end of towards the end of the game, when it gets to the part where it's like, all right, we're wrapping up here. And Trev already beat the game. So Trev was like, oh, there's probably like about an hour, maybe 2 left. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just stay live and finish the game because I don't want to like start another stream and then like only play the game for like an hour or whatever. Right. I don't know what we're gonna do now. So that is what happened with that.
I was doing the opposite. I was like, we should probably go to bed because it's probably going to keep going. Like,
to be fair, he's not the one that was like, keep streaming. He just was like, there's probably like an hour left. And I was like, oh, okay.
Which I mean, in games like this, especially, how much is an hour left for one person is actually an hour is different for somebody else. Because like, if you're beelining it to like skip the cutscenes and stuff, it could be less than if you're like, oh, but there's an alpha over there and I'll do something with that, or, whatever.
Trav said he still feels without streaming it because I was literally reading everything. And that's why I got like the point of like, this game is poorly written because I read it all out loud. So
for sure. I feel like, I mean, to go back to that conversation that we had with Pete, like if they did voice acting in these games, they would just probably end up fixing a lot of that kind of fluff stuff, because it's like, we're not going to pay people to say a million lines, but when they can just like stick in some dialogue and go, just like make people have that face, for audio listeners, I just did the shocked Pokemon Legend Arceus face, which is truly very silly.
Granted, that's an improvement for most Pokemon games, because most Pokemon games, your character's just sitting there smiling. Now you look mad concerned a lot of times in the game, and that's fitting.
Somebody
should be concerned.
Just put the Pikachu, and yes, it is exactly
that's
the
what
Pikachu
he did.
GIF. So all that to say, it's fun. Ashley's further obviously in the game than I am, which is like, she hasn't done anything like super. It hasn't gotten to any parts that feel like really spoilery or anything like that I would have wanted to see for the first time myself, but I've kind of just given up to like, whatever. If I see her do something before I get there, it's just going to be fine, because that's the pace that we're going at this point, because I'm still trying to kind of max out areas before I leave them. So I've still got a ways to go, but that's all right, because there's I've got a little ways until there's more games coming out that I'm particularly excited about. But in the meantime, what are you playing?
I too am playing Pokemans, and it has been, for the most part, kind of annoying. The last little like stint that I did today was kind of fun. Or it was like I'm getting towards the end. I only have like 12 more Pokemon to get the like 10 Pokedex entry thing.
What are you mostly doing to max those out? Are you catching more? Are you
depends on what the Pokemon is. Okay. See, the thing is, like, I would hate this game if I just did one thing. I would get super bored. But like some of them, I like. I don't know if I can say this because this is kind of spoilers.
I mean, some of them you could put on your team and just do their moves.
Yeah,
and that helps.
Right.
So, like,
but there's different ways to do it. And I've been doing a way that is not particularly normal throughout the rest of the game.
Interesting.
I did that. I just go to like weaker areas and I like, murder a Bidoof or something.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. But I'm getting there. I'm almost there. Also, today in my last little session of like, it was like I played for like an hour or something like that. I caught a shiny Remoraid. It was like,
oh, nice. Oh, I forgot to mention, Ashley caught a shiny Gligar
no,
without even noticing it. Like, so my friend Mitch came over the other day and she was showing him the game, and she'd caught a Gligar earlier that day and then went to go catch another one. And she was like, okay. And just like, and was showing him later, like, yeah, I caught these two. I guess one's a boy, one's a girl, because one's a different color. And he's like, is that a shiny? And she was like, I don't know, and went over to it. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that's a shiny. And I was like, yeah, sure enough. So she just, the first Gligar that she caught was just a shiny. And that's like so fun.
Yo,
like,
that's just like my
it's been on our
Noctowl
team
in
the whole
freaking
time.
Crystal.
Oh,
And when I saw a regular Noctowl, I was disappointed. Because I mean, I've never seen a regular Noctowl. It's like the first Noctowl I saw in the anime was Ash's Noctowl, which is a shiny Noctowl. And then I caught shiny Noctowl, and then I saw a regular Noctowl, and I was like, regular Noctowl sucks.
I'm looking up Ash's Noctowl now. I'm sure I've seen those episodes.
Like red and yellow.
Oh yeah.
And like a tan color.
Yep.
Regular Noctowl is like dark brown and like a light brown situation.
Love a good shiny Pokemon. All I've found so far is the Geodude really early on, and the standard Ponyta that you get. So yeah, I'm still having fun catching alphas and stuff like that, though. It's at this point, like half of the Pokemon that I have my boxes are very organized, as you can imagine. I've got a box for shinies. I've got like 3 boxes of alphas, and then like boxes of like collections and other ones that are the ones that I'm catching and ones that I've been raising. And yeah, it's just a good old time, So
I agree with Trev. Trev in the chat for audio listeners. He called Parker a nerd, and that's a fact.
You know what?
Facts.
Agreed. Not mad.
My boxes are not organized. Oh yeah, and speaking of that, man. Speaking of that, the freaking bullying and peer pressure, which is wild. It's crazy if you think about it.
And peer pressure.
The bullying and peer pressure for me to make a spreadsheet to play this stupid video is almost done. We're almost out of the woods.
Wait, so did you end up doing it?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Heck no. I can say hell on the show. Hell no.
You should have done it. It would have been so much fun for you. You would have
absolutely not
had a grand old time.
No,
man. But yeah, game's fun. We'll have, that's it. Game's fun.
Game is fun. Also, Smash. I thought that the Wii Nintendo Switch Sports thing started, but it didn't. It doesn't start till tonight. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, and I was like,
I think I signed up for it, so we'll see.
I mean, you should. I don't know if it closed that fast. I mean, it hasn't started yet, so you should be able to sign up for it.
It's like 9 p.m. my time, 10 your time, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark said I need to watch more streams so I can stand more spreadsheets. Yes.
That's half of the chat anyway. You might as well.
So, but yeah, no, I thought that was going to be before this too, and that we could talk about it. Turns out, even if it were, we can't talk about it.
We can talk about
technically.
I mean, can't show video or photos. You could talk about it.
I didn't read the fine print all that much. I was just like, people, you can't share stuff.
But also, you might be able to still do that. I don't know. I was going to ask people. But I forgot. I'll ask people after this, I guess.
Yeah. But that'll be interesting to try out this evening and see. We got a news article later about that kind of a thing, but we'll chat about it. I did one other thing. I played the new demo for Triangle Strategy.
Nerd.
And very true. Here's the thing. I love the combat. I think the politics and all that of the game, like the world, I think it's all very interesting. I do think the game's going to be more wordy than I have attention span for at this stage of my life. So I probably won't end up picking it up until I know I'm at some point where I will be able to read those things. Because there's definitely times where it's like the whole part of the game is making decisions that kind of affect the rest of the game based on your moral character and stuff. And to know that of like, which will you choose? Will you like let this guy go or do whatever? To know that kind of stuff, you have to pay attention. And I don't have the attention span to pay attention being a dad and stuff to a baby and having no free time. So needless to say, probably won't end up picking it up too early on, but combat's fun. Not great at it, but it's fun.
I have a hard time believing that. Yeah, cool.
Sometimes games are fun. You don't even know.
You don't even know.
Yeah, but that's everything I'm playing. But you know what we will not be playing ever again for all the times of the world? Any games that ever came out on Wii U and 3DS and all of their virtual consoles.
It's true.
The time for those has ended.
They're just taking your Wii U's. They're the Nintendo ninjas are going to kick down your door, take your Wii U, throw your 3DS up against the wall.
Yep.
And Mario laugh. They're all trained to emulate his laugh perfectly.
That's the one. No, I was saying ahead of time, or before we started recording, I was excited to talk with you about this, AJ, because we've, there's been capital D discourse about this.
Yes.
And I was like, probably we're going to feel about the same. Which is a fairly neutral space. It's not neutral. It's like both sides of it make sense. So that's, I don't know. We can get into it.
Which I think that's neutral. Like, see, the thing is, like, me personally don't care. Yeah. I have every game that I want on Wii U and 3DS, and even if there isn't a game that I do want that I don't have on 3DS or Wii U, now I'm reminded that those things exist, and I'm given a reason to actually, get off my butt and buy it. Will I do that? Probably not. But I do feel bad for people that do actively play those platforms. The people that didn't, maybe you don't have disposable income because you're a kid or whatever, and you wanted a Wii U, but now you had the money to buy a Wii U and you got a Wii U or 3DS, or maybe you got at the start of the Switch's life cycle or sometime after. And there's still games that you want to play and like all that stuff. I feel bad for that. That sucks. That's terrible. But the capital D discourse, I think, is largely unwarranted. It's like just a thing to get mad at, to be mad at something on the internet. People like being angry on the internet. And I think that it's like the response is just not as measured as it should be. It's like, is it a bad thing? Sure. Is it a thing that's worth being like irate over? Nah.
Yeah. It is funny because it's like the people in those situations, if you're a kid that has a Wii U that's like buying games or whatever, thinking back to me being a kid and that kind of stuff, I feel like the question isn't what all games are there that are out there that I'm going to play, but really what games are right in front of me that I might choose one of these 7 of at the store or at the, in whatever the context may be. So like, I think that's, kind of a straw man that some people might put up of like, but think of the kid, think of that kind of situation. It's like, I just don't know that happens that often, to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm sure it probably does. I think the real thing is, like you said, like collectors or, Nintendo enthusiasts who want to have all these games. Like, there is a real use case of people. Some amount of the people that are mad fall into this category, where it is a shame, for sure. And it's like, you want to play those games, and that's definitely reasonable on that front. But again, it's kind of like, but they're going to go away eventually. And I, it feels easy to say that, but like, they're going to go away eventually. So it's like Nintendo's doing it now. And as we'll get into a little bit later too, actually, Bianca Wicks asked a question that I think kind of is the answer to this is, do you think the new account system will carry over to whatever the next Nintendo console is, so that when the day comes for the Switch eShop to close, we can still keep our stuff as long as it's backwards compatible?
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, is like, Nintendo had this kind of disheveled, mixed up sort of past of eShops that existed but weren't future proof particularly. And at this point,
and I mean, that's very clearly, that was intentional.
Yeah,
Because
no,
a
you're not
big
right.
part
I mean,
of
not wrong.
all console manufacturers business model up until now,
Yeah.
and Microsoft is spearheading this,
Mhm.
was
Double dipping.
the yeah, exactly, the idea that's like, I mean, there's a legitimate reason that these games aren't forward compatible, because we would have to invest more money, and the format would have to be the same, like
Yeah.
you can't go from a disc to a cartridge, because how are you going to play your disc on your cartridge base, that whole thing. But like, also we can make more money, and then like once it became clear that's like, oh no, but we can make even more money if we can maintain like, brand loyalty and give people a reason to move forward and say, well, hey, like you could just get a new console that's from the other guy, but what about all these other games that you have built up over the years on our other platforms that will now be out of date and no longer won't get any new games,
Yeah.
you could play Switch games on your swap.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing.
I think thinking in that regard too, and to come back to that in a second, it's easier for me to like, I'm very empathetic in general in life. At least usually that's typically the case. And I can empathize with the company's business decision and just understand the company's business decision. And for the most part, most of the like, I haven't seen an actual person to be able to empathize with in the like Nintendo space that's sad about something on their actual behalf, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like, if that
because I've seen a lot of people that are like, I can put names to faces about people that are like upset about this, but it's a lot, it's like it's still removed.
Yes,
it's like,
right.
But what if so and so wants to do blah blah blah, or think of all the games that we never got to try, like that sort of thing. It's like, but you weren't trying to try it,
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, and
everybody was memeing about,
you still got
like, people have memed even during the Wii U's life about how their Wii U collected dust. We talked about literally last week about how people do not want to, including us, don't want to touch 3DS. It's like, I could play 3DS, I could play it, but do I want to? No, because I'm thinking about how like relatively antiquated this feels, and like I could be playing a Switch game right now, and it's not even necessarily a thing of like old game old. It's like, nah, I just don't want to play this game on this platform,
I definitely do think that the games should and need to, in some degree, like there needs to be a future where these games are accessible again, or whatever. Right. Need is a strong word for sure, but like
it would be nice.
It would be nice for us and for Nintendo to make the money, But I do think it's kind of a Disney Vault situation for now, where like Nintendo has planned 7 years ahead, and for them, all of these plans kind of feel like the present. So they're like, oh, well, we'll take away now, but it'll be there. And at the same point where in 3 years you'll want to play some 3DS game or Wii U game or something like that, it might be on the Switch in maybe not in 3 years, but in some amount of time, like those games will be accessible, but just not on the platforms that they're on now. But there is this downtime. It's kind of like the Mario 3D All-Stars thing, where those games were on there, and then the thing went away and there was downtime, and now Mario 64 is back, and presumably the other ones will come back in due time as well. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that stuff.
It's like, I don't know. I get it. I get why people that are upset about like not being able to play the games that they actively wanted to play. Not just like, I wanted to add that to my 500 game long list of backlog. I wanted to add that to the games that I'm never going to actually play, but have the comfort of like, if I want to play it some random day for 20 minutes, I could do that, which is totally fine to feel that way. But the thing that is weird is when people then like take that desire and then make it like this moral obligation. Like it's like people can be like removed enough to be like, this is a corporation, take from them, right? But then try to use morality as logic for why they should do the thing that you want. Like either they're like this faceless monolith that doesn't have people, it's just a corporation, or it is a company made from like built from people and blah, like that sort of thing. And I just think that like a lot of the arguments that people are making where it's like, oh well, Nintendo's worth X amount of dollars or whatever, right? So that means that they're on the same level of like an Amazon. But then you compare how they run their business and have ran their business for decades, right? Like the whole thing with like Owada cutting his pay in half because the company wasn't making like they were, you know, on the downswing.
Yeah.
The fact that there's so many people that work at this company for decades, literally, like Kit and Krista, they just recently they worked there for 15 years.
Yeah.
More or less. Like I think Kit worked there for 14 and Krista worked there for 15. People stay there for a reason, you know, like it's not just this like B company that don't care about people. And you know, like I think a lot of this is because they do care about people. And they want to be able to have some level of security to have those people that work there for 25, 30 years of their life, you know.
It is interesting. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I mean, I would just saying like they're like on some level, yes, they're a corporation, and it's like you being this single person that like emulates a game or whatever. At the end of the day, is like not the biggest deal in the world, and that's fine. But also, you know, like we can't like completely say that it's like removed from anybody being impacted by people collectively deciding to be like, corporation, I'll steal.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I mean, as far as corporation stuff goes, you know, like thinking about them versus Microsoft or whatever, where right now Microsoft is actively trying to do all the prosumer things that they can to like keep a good face publicly. Nintendo doesn't really care as much about doing that for the sake of doing that, like where that conflicts with things that'll be ultimately specifically beneficial business wise and beneficial still in the long run for the customer. For example, the example I'm about to give, that like the most pro consumer way of doing this would have been leave those shops online if they have a future plan of at least some amount of those shops coming to, I mean, not the Wii U, but like some of the stuff that's on the Wii, I don't know, whatever, coming to the Switch down the road, leave the 3DS and Wii U shops on until they've announced those plans, or at least until those plans are up, something along those lines. So there's overlap there. That would be like the most pro-consumer thing to do. But business-wise, like that's missing a lot of opportunities, you know, in the same way that like Earthbound wasn't on there for a while and it sucked. And now Earthbound is on the Switch. And it became this big deal that they were able to market and whatever. Like that's something that making people wait paid off in the long run. And now people can play Earthbound. So it's like not really bad for the consumer at the end of the day. It just there's a patience buffer that, you know, sucks to some degree. So that's the tricky thing is like, where do you as a company divide the line between being the most pro-consumer possible and making people wait for things or be in the dark about stuff or whatever? Because it's not like they're not providing other things too. These are things that like, if I don't know, to some degree, if those shops went down, like people would notice. But if there weren't social media, if those shops went down, the number of people that would notice for themselves would be such small amount of people for a long, long time, you know?
There are a lot of people that are mad at this because it is in to be mad at this. And that's kind of dumb.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I just like, I have no problem with people that are legitimately upset by this, right?
Yeah.
Sure. My issue is like people mincing words and like making this into something that it's not, and like contradicting themselves in a lot of different ways, where it's like you're going to argue morality and responsibility and like what's, you know, all that stuff, and then turn around and do things that are not like on that same line of thought, you know. Like if something is good, then it's good. If it's bad, then it's bad. It can't be both, you know. I don't know. Consistency is all I want. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, are there any games that you like as this is happening that you're like, I guess I should probably pick these up before they go away forever?
I did want to get Pikmin 3 again, but it's on Switch, so I no longer have to do that.
Yeah.
The Metroid Prime trilogy, I'll probably do
Mhm.
that, but like I'm gonna be mad if I do that and
I
then it
know.
also gets moved to Switch. Um, let me see what is there. I don't know if there's any like Wii U exclusive game that I want to get. Oh, I never got Crystal on 3DS. I might do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have it, you know,
Yeah.
if I'm missing any Pokemon in the Johto region, which I don't think I am,
Yeah.
I can get it through Crystal. Um,
Mhm.
but apart from that, nothing that's at front of mind, you know, nothing that like if it got shut down tomorrow, I'd
Mhm.
regret not getting.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like for me personally, there's things that I could muster up the want to get, you
Mhm,
know. But the actual list of like, man, it will be a detriment to me if I don't have these games is pretty much none games.
mhm,
Like I bought Golden Sun Dark Dawn physically, and that was pretty much the only 3DS game that was like, I would like to have this game specifically. And there's other games that, it would okay. There is something we said for like I've never played A Link Between Worlds,
mhm.
and a couple other like Nintendo Selects titles. Are
Yeah,
those $20 on the eShop as well?
they might be.
I am curious. Look it up. So there, I mean, there's something we said for that. Like that maybe I'd want to just get a bunch of, Nintendo Selects eShop type games and stuff. Um, but oh, they changed the storefront and now I something. Wait a minute. What's that?
The other part that I find funny about this is like there's a lot of outlets that are like monetizing this from every angle where it's like, man, this is terrible that they're doing this, but also we're going to do affiliate links for eShop cards that you can get the games, and those are also have affiliate links, and we're going to make multiple videos of 15 3DS games that you should get and 15 Wii U games that you should get before the, like
Mhm.
you're also profiting off of this. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. I think that's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. I know what you mean for sure. Well, I was gonna look this up, but I'm having a harder time doing it than I wanted to, so never mind.
Hey, that's a perfect way to look it up. Just go to somebody's article,
Oh
help
yeah.
them out. Use their affiliate link.
I was also I got distracted because as I got onto my Nintendo account, there was another new, oh man, these are gonna be even harder to get now. 2DS XL came
Oh
up,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
refurbished ones came
Mm-hmm.
up,
Yep.
and I was able to go into it, but it was like the store is messed up on iOS, and so you had to like do it from a computer, and I never bothered to go do it from my computer, so I didn't get it.
Mm.
But now they're going to be even harder to get those, so I got distracted because it was right there. So yeah, I think for me those are the only ones that like I might see if I can get the some like Nintendo Select games and stuff, but that's pretty much it. I don't have a Wii U, so that's not going to come in to play at all. And like as far as classic games, really the only games that I'm concerned, quote unquote, about not coming for a long time are Wii U and 3DS games. Like they're actual stores. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that worried about classic games. Like I think really all of those, especially Nintendo's response that they then deleted to in the FAQ, like what do you do if you want to play classic Nintendo games? And the response was like, we have over 130 games on the,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever. Like it was a bad response in a lot of ways, because it felt very like get a second job for the PS3 kind of a
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
less bad by a long shot, but still within the same kind of vein. But it does imply to me just a confirmation of what we've been talking about for months and years or whatever, that like that's
Their end goal is getting this stuff on Switch Online.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, which I'm fine with that because like, yeah, as Mark said earlier, I don't really want to buy those games. I just wanted the peace of mind that I could buy them.
Yeah.
It's very much the same as
Having them on a subscription service.
Exactly, because I haven't played Earthbound yet since it's been on, and I haven't played Ocarina of Time and Paper Mario and stuff. But like, yeah, I want to play those one day, maybe eventually.
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see if I do. Speaking of which,
I do have
say your thing first.
I have the thing. Because I do have a Wii U and I also have a 3DS. So I did the little memory thingy that they got, and I can show that.
Go for it. Oh yeah, that's right, that thing.
It is very predictable. Anybody could have guessed this. This is my 3DS one. My memories. I played 1,000 hours on my 3DS, which is like nothing compared to my like the Switch is like that's crazy how much more I played Switch versus how much I played both of these consoles combined. But my most played game is Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, then Pokemon Y, and then Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS. The way that they classify these like the genres is very strange. Where it's like it has, I mean, RP, and which this is funny that like my most played genre, because I just played mostly Pokemon, is RPG. But it's like if somebody looked at this and was like, yo, what, your favorite genre is, they see freaking RPG be that big. The multiplayer part that checks out though. That checks out. So that's my 3DS. 53 titles played for 1,060 hours. I played Pokemon Alpha Sapphire for 199 hours. Now Wii U is even more strange because Hulu. I don't even remember really watching Hulu. This might be something that like my niece, you know, like she might have like that had been a thing of like once I got my Switch, I like let her use it and stuff. But apparently Hulu's number 3. Then Splatoon, the first game, which I've talked about multiple times. That's like I used to play Splatoon a lot on my Wii U, but on Switch, I'm over it. I mean, I'm not over it, but I'm like relatively over it. And then most played game Smash 4, Wii U.
Again, 124 hours compared to the 2,700 now or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is so funny. Just like the going back, I mean, seeing everybody's numbers, you know, pretty much feels like, they played games for sure. And
it's like it's like you, even when these consoles were like relevant, you didn't care to play them. Like, so I don't know. And like it's the type of thing that's like I'm not gonna say like, oh, it's like I empathize with the corporation, but I do understand the logic here, where it's like me as somebody that like like me, somebody that has made Nintendo games my living, you know, did not play Wii U and 3DS nearly as much as, you know, like you would think. I don't know if the majority of the world is playing it enough for them to like look at their ROI and be like, should we like pay for this? You know, like, this guy had Wii U for 10 years and played it for 1,000 hours. You know, well, it's closer to 2,000, but like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the kind of thing that like they just they don't have to make this decision. Like they very well could just keep the servers on longer, for sure. Like that, no questions asked there. I think they're, and you know, I wouldn't even say that I feel like the best decision is to do it this soon, because like they could just leave it up longer, you know, again. But I think them doing it at some point is inevitable. And I do think that like we are working towards a future more like what we're seeing, especially with Microsoft. Microsoft is pretty much already there, you know, barring a couple of games that just like couldn't make the jump, from my understanding.
Which again is ironic, you know, because they are the only company that is like literally championing, like they're championing this, and people meme on them all the time for like not how cringe it is to have an Xbox, not a PlayStation, and blah 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 and all that other stuff. It's like, I don't know, everybody's dollar is saying that they don't care about the stuff that they are like enraged by, you know. And like I, for one, I'm always talking about how great Xbox is. Like their freaking like business model is elite. Like it's not, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
Maybe people should support that more. You know, like if you want to see more companies keep their servers on forever and, you know, like give you the option to play this game or more accurately, give you the option to let this game collect dust, support companies that allow for that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Mark said we only talk about how much we appreciate the Wii U / 3DS when they leave. Oh no, we are we the toxic ones in the relationship. It's the you don't know what you got till it's gone song that I don't remember.
It's not even like like
Crows?
people realize like, oh shoot, this is what I have. It's like I guarantee you 60% of the people that are complaining, if not more, if not significantly more, don't have a Wii U. You don't have a Wii U, you know? Like
Yep.
3DS, that's a different story. But again, like it was a whole meme to be like, I don't want to play 3DS anymore when they were still announcing 3DS games and Nintendo Directs when Switch was out for a year plus, you know, people were outraged by that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
But the thing, you know, the thing that's funny is if Nintendo was like the day that the Switch came out, we are killing 3DS. We are never releasing another 3DS game again. People would be outraged by that. You know, it's like, oh my God. Like, consistency, please.
It is. I mean, I don't know if you also thought this, but like the fact that they did this the week after a direct that had a lot of people like really, you know, thumbsing up all over the place, high fives and stuff. It definitely felt like a pretty planned move. They're like, we're going to get as much good press as we can, announce this thing real quick. And then I looked at their Twitter and they buried this on their Twitter within days in terms of just like with putting out other tweets about like fun stuff. Like
Kirby's still coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mario Strikers, you know, like, so it's just really funny that like they knew that it wasn't going to be a popular move. But it's, you know, it's happening. Trev asked a question. Do you think the DLC and whatnot makes additional value adds like Pokemon games more or less possible on NSO?
I think it's still highly unlikely because it's not like unless Nintendo is like, you know, cutting Pokemon Company a check that is exorbitant. I couldn't see it happening. And even if they did, honestly.
Do you mean games like Red, Blue, Crystal,
any
all
of
that?
I mean, maybe like the Game Boy games, maybe because there is precedent there. But
I do think those ones seem the most likely and also kind of likely. But yeah, let's hear about your butt.
Like if they do something like that, it would definitely be like expansion pass territory. Like for sure. Like if they do the Pokemon games, I could not imagine a world where it's like just available for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I could even see them charging more. Where it's like they had the whole thing where well, we got to pay, and you know, like a bunch of people like
Sega and stuff,
you know, like Emily Rogers were talking about like how much more money they had to spend to get the Genesis games relative to even the N64 games on the platform. Is a lot of the reason why they're able to justify the price hike.
Yeah,
I don't know. I could see another price hike.
Yeah, I feel like each generation of Pokemon is so like potent that they could I could see them using Gen 1 definitely in the expansion pass. I could see them like really to just like, I mean, it would to them it would feel like throwing a bone, I feel like, but I mean, because it would be, but putting it in the base NSO with the other Game Boy stuff just to like bolster it that much more or whatever, you know.
That would be hype if they were like, yo, Pokemon Stadium's coming and also you can use your Pokemon for Pokemon Yellow and Red and Blue through Pokemon Stadium or the NSO. You know, I could see them.
Yep, because that's a 1-2 punch of NSO base and NSO expansion pack. No, yeah, I mean, I feel like I could see that happening because they have so much more like ammo left of Pokemon games in the future that they could use for other things if they wanted to, that like, you know, they could kind of throw you a bone in that regard. I don't know. specific, and just like red and blue, not even yellow. Like I don't know when yellow would come into play. Maybe yellow's just on the expansion pack or something like that for no good reason. But yeah, those games are just like so powerful. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but speaking of the games on NSO expansion pack, Majora's Mask is coming next week.
The timing on that is also funny.
It is. Yeah. They definitely waited for that to. It was funny when the direct happened. I remember hearing a couple of people in post direct conversations being like, interesting that they didn't give the timing for Majora's Mask. And I was like, I don't know. That would have been kind of a boring thing to talk about.
Yeah, like unless they were going to announce multiple N64 things.
Yes,
announcing one N64 thing is like
that we already know about. Yeah, exactly.
Like the only thing that I could have. Yeah, like I could have saw something that would have like generated hype and conversation and discourse, capital D TM. Is like if they did like a faux like Smash reveal, like they did like a character trailer for like Smash 64 on NSO. I could see them doing that. Like that would be a single game that I think would be worth doing that. But like Majora's Mask, we already knew it was coming. There's no reason to take time out of the directs.
Yeah.
Or add time even to the direct's play time for that. It's like
that would be a fun reveal though of doing that with Smash. It does suck a little bit that like because Nintendo's doing so well, in some ways they still do like interesting trailers or commercials and stuff like that. But they also, it feels like they don't necessarily feel like they have to try that hard in some ways. Whereas like, did you see any of the Legends Arceus trailers? I mean, I keep saying trailers. Trailers. This is trailer, whatever.
Yeah.
That are like the one where it's Badu and they're on a date and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very like weird and cheesy, but kind of fun, those kinds of things. So it'd be fun to see more of that kind of stuff with Pokemon. No, with Pokemon, sorry, with
Nintendo. I mean, the more like lean directs get, the less time they put into like weird quirky things like that. Like there wouldn't be a thing of freaking Furukawa looking at a banana, for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but there should be. So there you go. Majora's Mask is coming. Neato burrito. And then otherwise, in a transition that I'm transitioning through, Retro Studios updated their Twitter banner.
OMG,
which shouldn't be news, but it is.
We got a new Twitter banner. It's hype. I wonder who is like the person that like found that and why. Like what was the reason that they found this? Do they check Retro Studios? They probably do. There's probably multiple people that check Retro Studios every single day. But I want to know who the first person. Two sets of that. I want to know the first person that found that and then sent that to an outlet, and then the person that saw that and was like, whatever, and who came first? Like, did the person that just shrugged it off as like, okay, did they find it first, or did the person that sent it to like, Nintendo Life find it first?
Yeah, we'll never know. But we do know that Metroid is here. It's already out. It's shadow dropped.
It's true. Yesterday. Look at Metroid, the girl.
This is barely news, but there it is. It's a thing. I don't know. It's it looks good, I guess. It is interesting, I guess, if we're pointing things out, that this kind of the picture looks like it's from a visor view a little bit, but Samus is over there, so maybe that's Dark Samus and we're Samus or something. I don't really know. I'm just making stuff up. But yeah, whatever. That's that. Good job, Retro. You're making a game. Similar, just like weird non-news is news thing. Last year's news is news again is what I called this, where somehow this article went back around that it was Nintendo will launch Switch successor when they can create a new experience. And people were like, oh, this is a big thing. Because my Nintendo News put up an article, or other people did, or something like that. But the original source is from just straight up Furukawa saying stuff a year ago. So,
but why? But even if he said it yesterday, why is that news? I feel like that's obvious. That's like stuff that they always say every
yeah,
console generation.
very much so. So here's whatever. We'll just talk about it too, because why not? The whole quote is: the hardware and software development teams are in the same building, communicating closely and thinking about how we can propose new forms of entertainment. In order to create a single piece of hardware, we have to do a lot of preparation several years in advance. So we're working without stopping. In the end, the deciding factor in whether or not to commercialize a product is whether it can create a new experience. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's very like that's as Mario Odyssey as like the poster child of that for the Switch, of every feature that the Switch can do besides touch controls, I guess. Pretty sure besides touch controls.
Yeah.
Is represented somehow in
What
the
is
Joy-Cons.
is there touch? I feel like there's touch,
I don't
but
know.
I don't think it matters.
I don't
I
think
think
so
it's
either.
like the type of thing that's like, oh no, I might be thinking of 3D World.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely in 3D World, but I'm trying to
Mhm.
think if there's like a touch thing in.
I can't think of anything.
But yeah, more or less. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Well, I mean, kind of a little bit. It does HD Rumble stuff.
Yeah. Like it
Because it like
uses some of those
the stars. I mean
grumblings.
the
Yes.
moons under. Yeah.
Yep. That and like motion controls and stuff. And
But
like,
it doesn't use the IR camera.
oh,
There
you're
it
so
is.
right.
Rip,
That's the
dude.
one.
See it.
Not even a real game at that point.
That's a fact.
So, but that, I mean, that's, I guess the point people are trying to make with this maybe is that like a Switch 2 wouldn't be a new experience, but like even then, even if it is just like an upgraded Switch, but like more hardware power can create games that'll do things, like you couldn't have Pikmin on the N64 kind of a thing.
Yeah, the thing about it is like they don't know that. Like that's such a vague term. Like a new experience could literally just be the generic, like it's 4K now, like that's a new experience, like but what they mean could be anywhere between that and like you are in the game. Like it could be like anywhere from nothing, next to nothing to everything. And like we don't know either or. Like that's like the type of thing that's like this isn't news, because it's like it's the same stuff that they always say.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, I mean it's their typical PR answers and stuff, and like it is a different thing than to some degree than like Sony would say or Microsoft would say, because this is just like Nintendo's way.
Because literally the reason why they upgrade their consoles is like, we haven't made a big chunk of money in a minute. We should probably make that big chunk of money, like, oh, there's a pandemic happening. Nah, we still want the big chunk of money. We want to start the new we believe in generations.
It's true. And like old people getting older and young people also getting older. Everybody's getting older because generations. And as you're getting old, you might be playing games like Switch Sports. Maybe you'll be doing that. And let's talk about Switch Sports. There's the demo thingy this weekend, which is neat. But then I just was perusing the articles for today's video podcast, whatever. And it mentioned this. That's right. It is a video system that way. Some moving pictures. Apparently Nintendo Switch Sports is using AMD's Fidelity FX super resolution upscaling technology, which I'm assuming is kind of like DLSS.
Yep.
Sort of thing. So that's cool. It was in the it said found an interesting license from Nintendo Switch Sports lists. It's blah blah blah. I'm guessing this is part of the thing that we have to sign, or this is in some documentation somewhere.
I mean, the game, you can't play the game yet, but I opened it and I like, you can't make this is probably I'm surprised I haven't seen anybody outraged by this, but you can't like customize your character in the like test thing. You gotta like randomize your character. I'm outraged.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like you do the like click random until you get like the one that looks like
I might have customized that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's like there was no like user agreement or anything like that when I turned that on. But obviously it's not live, so maybe like once it's live and you could play the video game, it'll go through all of that. But
yeah,
I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know how like what this says other than like maybe they're testing it. You know, it's like how like sometimes they're like, oh, we're going to develop a game in Unreal Engine 4. That doesn't mean all their games are going to be developed in Unreal Engine 4, but they're like testing it because maybe you know maybe it does make more sense to use another engine or like this like middleware or whatever.
It is. I mean, it is interesting just that like with NVIDIA having the DLSS stuff, but them using this, like, I mean, could very well be. Here's conspiracy theory. Get ready. Here it goes. Could be that DLSS 4K upscaling stuff was going to be on the Switch OLED, like we talked about before, that was going to be the Switch Pro, but then chip shortages and stuff and whatever. And so DLSS won't work just in and of itself, really, the way that they would want it to on the Switch on a hardware like way without being a Switch Pro.
Yeah, because the Fidelity FX is software based.
Yeah.
Like the NVIDIA solution is hardware based, and I don't think the Tegra X1 supports it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would need a new or the Tegra X1 and like its variants.
So the conspiracy theory with that, I guess, too, is that like maybe they were like, man, DLSS kind of stuff is cool. Upscaling things is neat. And then they just found a different way to do that in the meantime. You know, they were like, well, we can't do it like hardware wise yet, but like we could just use something else.
Yeah, like
let's
see what something like this would do, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, interesting. I'd be more interested to see if it happens more, you know, like them doing something once is like neat, but they do it again, you know, like, and what does this do? You know, like, does this make the game? And I don't mean like literally what does this do? I mean, like, what does this do for them in terms of like, does this now allow them to put more effort elsewhere? Or does it make the game run better? You know, like that sort of situation. Because like them upscaling it with software, you'd imagine saves them sometime somewhere. So are they using that time elsewhere, or is it just a tactic for them like, all right, we got to get this game out. We want to develop the Wii Sports successor in 6 months, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Only they know.
It's true. And we will maybe never find out, but yeah, whatever, it's fine. So there you go. That's all.
Unless it's like super successful. If it's like super successful, I can see this being like a GDC talk.
Yeah, right. I mean, so it mentions in the article too that let me find it again. No other Nintendo Switch game thus far has used the impressive technology, and it will also be available on the forthcoming Steam Deck handheld system from Valve. I wonder to what degree it'll be on there. Like, is that one of the, you know, because Steam Deck's kind of a little computer. So does it have settings that you can change? And is this one of those settings that can be used just across the board on the Steam Deck? Or is like in specific games, this is a thing? I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall
see.
Or
I will. You will. People will.
Are you getting? No. Okay. You're not getting.
No. I debated it for minutes. And then I was like, I'm not gonna play this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not either. So there it is. All right, that's the news.
That's the news.
Controversial, you know, or something like that. But now we got Q&A, much less controversial, sometimes much more, some other times. There's pears and raspberries involved and stuff.
That's true. Have we debated about raspberries? Yo, I bought mad fruit.
True.
I bought so many fruit. It was crazy. I just bought a lot of fruit.
just to eat or to do anything with it, make a pie or something.
Fruit. You know, fruit's good.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's true.
We haven't gone grocery shopping in a while, which has been, it's just like been things back to back and whatever. So, but at some point when you don't have groceries, it takes so much work to like be like, we're going to go and we're going to restock on everything. Cause like that's restocking half of your things is one kind of grocery trip. Restocking literally everything is
Yeah, it's too
money.
much.
And it's annoying. But in any case, probably that's going to be a task for this weekend. In addition to going to the zoo because it's supposed to be nice. So that should be fun. But yeah, the Q&A, let's do it. Xeon, our friends over at Nintendo Life, asked, how does it feel to know we're losing the only way to legally play Golden Sun digitally? Feels sad, except for I've got them physically, so like I can play them physically. So I'm not too sad about it.
Yo, wait, is it on 3DS? I know it's
Yeah.
on Wii U. I have it on Wii U.
Right? Aren't Game Boy Advance games on 3DS
There
eShop?
are Game Boy Advance games, but I don't know if that one is.
We're about to find out. Nintendo Virtual Console.
I don't even remember, and we've talked about this, but I don't remember why I have Golden Sun. I think it was like a humble bundle thing or something.
Good taste.
But I only played like 5 minutes of it.
Then you have bad taste. Let's see. Where's the list of the games? List of virtual game. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Game Boy Advance. And no, there's no.
So it's not on 3DS. It's only on Wii U.
Just only on Wii U.
And is it just the first one? Because I have the first one.
It's probably both. I would think. I'd be
What
surprised.
What does both mean? I thought there was 3.
Oh, is it 3? Yeah. So because the third one is a DS game.
Yeah, but there's DS games on Wii U.
Yeah. So probably Golden Sun. So first one, second one. And no, it doesn't look like Dark Dawn is on the Wii U.
Hate to see it.
What all DS games are on here? Quite a few.
I don't remember. I just
interesting.
Remembered the announcement. I think like the Mario 64 DS is on there.
Yeah. I mean, there's easily like 30 DS games on the Wii U from the looks of it. So, man, yeah. Wii U for just an interesting console of like third-party stuff was just weird. First-party stuff was kind of weird, but they're like virtual console is stacked. Like you can play every non-Wii U game, not every literally, but like so many non-Wii U games that you wanted to.
You could like play every Zelda game.
Yeah.
Like
insane.
Every Zelda game. Except for now. Now there's Zelda games that you can't play.
That's true. Yeah.
But up until Switch, there's Zelda games that you can play on Wii U, and that's it. Like you could just be your Zelda box.
Yep.
But not anymore.
What a time.
I mean, still, but until like what? May is when the cutoff for
credit cards is, I think.
Yeah, credit cards, and then it's like I don't know, it was
like, August question mark?
August, something like that for getting Switch. I mean, not Switch, but eShop credit.
I think applying the eShop credit. I think somebody said that even after that, you can still get it for your Nintendo account and apply it somewhere else and then move it to your one. Like basically you still can do it through, you can still put new money on through the end of March next year, but it's going to be, yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's one more step every single time, but yeah. I mean, just like with I guess it was when the Wii shop went down a couple of years ago. I thought for a second about like, do I want to buy some games on the Wii shop? Nah, I don't really care that much. And I haven't thought twice about it. Oh,
never mind. I remember. I was about to say, I don't even know where my Wii's at, but my brother has my Wii.
Ah, there you go. I know exactly where mine's at. It's in our new entertainment center but it's put more away than when it was in our old entertainment center because it was sitting right out there to be played, but it never got played. So it's just
my Wii U is on the shelf.
There you go. Skills. All right, cool. So Discord questions. Falcon asked, here are cues for the price of none. Thanks. Do you remember Project Cafe?
Yes, everybody's angry about it right now.
Was that the code name for Wii U?
Yeah. Yep.
I did not know that. And what was your favorite Nintendo console code name? Personally, I liked Nitro code name for the DS, he says.
That's
fun.
I mean, the only one that I was like actively aware of as it was happening was
Revolution?
Project Cafe. No,
Oh,
Project
yeah.
Cafe. I wasn't really paying attention to
No,
like,
I was not.
I wasn't like, I didn't freaking hear a lot to be like, I mean,
Mhm.
Revolution's coming or whatever. Like,
In like
that was like after
what,
the
fifth
fact,
grade for you, probably?
something like that. Yeah. It was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just give me the video game. Like, does this play Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
Like, but
Mhm.
Project Cafe was like the first, like that when they announced that and they showed like the screen, I was like, yo, that's hype. I'm freaking down. Like, honestly, Wii U is probably the reason why I'm doing this. Like, to
Yeah.
be honest, like, but like, I don't know. Other than that, it's like and I don't even necessarily like that code name. It was just like what I
Mhm.
was aware of. Nitro's cool. Revolution's also cool.
Mhm.
Uh,
NX, Dolphin, those are the only ones I can think of.
NX is boring.
It is very boring. It's the only one that I was like, as you had Project Cafe, I had
NX was that was
any amount
yours.
of that
Yeah.
with was knowing that the Nintendo. It is funny, the like thinking back to 2016 was like finally got a Wii again as an adult and was like, cool, I'm might play some games, and I played some games a little bit. I remember listening to uh How Stuff Works podcast, I'm pretty sure. Stuff you should know, I think it
Mhm.
was. And they had an episode on Nintendo. And I just remember like them talking. I was like, oh, this is fun. Like I remember I like Nintendo. And so they were given a bunch, like a history lesson of all the stuff. And they're like, no, kind of in modern day, Nintendo's not been doing so hot recently, and they've been losing money. And like they mentioned the Iwata like cutting his budget or his salary in half and all that stuff. And they were like, yeah, and they the last time they skipped an E3, which is a big deal, and they showed up just with one game to it, and that whatever. And it's like kind of ending on a downhill note. And they were like, and there's like at this point there's like talks of a new console, the Nintendo NX, but we don't really know anything about it, blah blah blah. And that was like May of 2016 or something like that. So it's just funny, like that point in time where I first became aware of Nintendo's whole history. I was like,
Mhm.
oh man, that that sucks. Nintendo's having a hard time. And then everything turned around very quickly, not too shortly thereafter.
Bro.
So what a time.
We have another Twitter question
Heyo.
from
Thrill House asked, what digital only titles would you want brought back to the Switch / how soon until Sony closes the PS3 store now that Nintendo is taking some of the internet heat? That's hilarious. Yeah.
Didn't they recently close? It was like the Vita store.
They were
and
going to, and
then they reverse course.
yep, 100%.
I
Which I'd
mean,
forgotten that they reversed course until I heard other people talking about it. I was like, oh, but those ones went down recently, right? And then people were like, no, they straight up just didn't do that because everybody was too mad. Like, oh,
yep. So I mean, hey, maybe, and I don't even necessarily think that it's like the Spider-Man thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or any other internet backlash, like the thing that convinces these corporations or even individual people that make these decisions to be like, oh yeah, well, let's do this. It's probably not that the outrage, it's
Yeah,
probably
right.
the like just the amount of people that are like, that want the thing, like if people reasonably were like, hey man, that kind of sucks, I would rather
Mm-hmm.
have that. I think it would have the same exact effect as people being like, unreasonable.
Yeah.
Um,
I
it's
mean, and honestly, even with this, like the backlash, people are mad. They're going to
mhm.
forget about it. But in the meantime, Nintendo's making a whole bunch of money on people just, FOMO
The
buying
mad dash.
games and
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
I think that that's also the dangerous part about
Yeah.
this, right? Because it's like if they make too much from situations like this, they're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna keep doing it. And I think that's
Yeah.
why they're doing it, because every time they do it, they make more money than they ever would have if they just left them up.
Yep.
So it's like
Yeah. Yeah. It's
that's
true.
why they're doing it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think that they're doing it because it's like it's not like we need more money. Let's close down the store, but it's
Uh-huh.
like this isn't making us any money. And then they announce that they're
Mm-hmm.
closing it down. It's like, oh, okay, well, we're making some money. Cool. And
Yeah.
oh well, goodbye.
Uh-huh. I
Like
mean, it's like when an actual store's closing and they have a like a
everything must
closeout
go.
sale. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those kinds of things. Um, And ultimately, like, again, I would love to know an actual, like a real life use case of someone as a similar thing today who really wants to buy Super Mario 3D All Stars and just can't make it happen, you know, that kind of a thing. um
Mhm.
Maybe there's more situations of that I'm aware of. I would be a little bit surprised, but nevertheless, similarly with this, like, um you know, I feel like everybody who is the kind of person that would want to have had these things eventually now is just going to get the things that they want and is going to not get the things that they don't want, you know, because like if I think about the Switch store, to be
Mhm.
perfectly honest, there's a whole bunch of games that are on my, like, I think I'd probably like to eventually get these one day kind of a list.
Mhm.
And if they were like, stores closing, you gotta, you know, grab your things and go, then I'd probably go ahead and get,
Like 10% of it.
yeah, like some amount of those games that I deem are worth getting, and then just be like, whatever, maybe I'll get the other ones when they show up one day somewhere else, but you know, whatever. And so I feel like for a lot of people, there is that where it's like, if you were gaming on the 3DS and have now moved to the Switch, and there were a lot of games that passed you by that you were interested in, but like never really took the time to bother to get, kind of like, you know, like I was explaining, I am with the Switch games. I could see this being something of like, oh man, that's like hundreds of dollars worth of games that I would have to
Mhm.
consider getting.
Yeah.
What do
Yep.
I do? But it's like, I mean, now is kind of the point. It's similar to when you're moving and it's like you gotta box stuff up and throw some stuff away.
Yep.
What stuff brings you joy? Like Mary Kondo, that stuff, you know?
Yep.
So
To answer the question, as far
yeah.
as like what digital only titles would I want to be brought over? Uh I mean, we answered this a little bit as far as like the 3DS stuff, whereas like the
Yeah.
Pokemon stuff would be cool.
Yeah.
The like the Zelda stuff would be neat because
Mm-hmm.
there's all the Zelda games that are like not on
Mm-hmm.
Switch. But I don't know as far as like exclusive digital only, you know,
Right.
like that sort of stuff. Technically Smash 4 is because the DLC, but the DLC is all in Smash Ultimate, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like, eh.
It is. Yeah. It's like, I could probably come up with lists of like other people. You know, I watched John Car 8's video talking about like the things that you'll miss out on from this in the future,
Right.
or something like that. So like that's interesting.
Mhm.
But
But
I don't
that's
have
like,
personal attachment to any of
yeah,
those particular
exactly.
things.
It's
So
that's less like things that I legitimately feel like I would miss out on,
yeah.
and things that are like FOMO territory. Where
Yeah.
it's like,
Right.
hey, you know these games that you didn't know about? You're gonna be
Uh-huh.
sad when they're gone now that you know about them, huh? You know,
Uh-huh.
it's like, eh.
Yeah. I think basically, like, as thankfully not a collector, because it would be
Mhm,
hard for me to, yeah, it's just easier to not be one,
mhm.
is how I feel about it. Um
I just actively
more
am not interested in that either. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think I generally like kind of make do with whatever's there to some degree, with these kinds of things at least. So like whatever they end up bringing over to Switch will be cool, and then
mhm,
otherwise, you know, it is what it is. So that's where I'm at. But I know I'm different from a lot of people in that regard. So as far as what things I would want brought to the Switch, like just literally whatever they end up bringing to the Switch is the like dumb answer to that, but like truly is, that's how I personally feel about it. Um Specific ones, probably more virtual console kinds of stuff,
yeah.
not literally the virtual console, but like more classic Nintendo games and Nintendo's like digital only titles like Pushmo and that kind of stuff, Box Boy type things. Like that would just be nice to have those, because like why not? um and I feel like third party stuff just oftentimes lives on as legacy type software anyway, and third parties will do with that what they will. Like at this point, now they'll have to decide, like, all right, do we want to try to figure out how to do something with our 3DS games now that people can't buy them somewhere else? And they'll wait a while before doing that. But like with everything that Square's bringing back now from like how, 20 years ago or whatever, like things will continue to come back.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just will. So
Yep.
we'll see.
We shall
Patience.
see.
um and last question, Merc said, Nintendo says, fine, you do it. and appoints AJ and Parker as the new armchair directors of the back catalog. How are you going to make Nintendo a ridiculous amount of money and the most amount of happy little fanboys and fangirls? Sometimes those two things are at odds.
Yes.
Just saying.
Because like if it was like most amount of money, if that was the question, I would, like we talked about Pokemon, I would freaking release every Pokemon game and I would put all of them in tiers. I'd be like, if you want the Game Boy Color games, that's $5 extra. If you want the Game Boy Advance, that's $5 more, you know, so on and so forth, up until 3DS. And like, to be clear, I mean like $5 more for the like the year or whatever. So like if a family plan is $80 for NSO expansion pass, like all told it would be like $100 with like all the Pokemon games on it. But like the happy medium there would be like making the add additional platforms, make them optional, and all of them be an additional $5 to $10 a year. And do like some level of like, oh, Game Boy Advance and Pokemon's coming, you know, like to get people excited for the thing, and then, you know, bring more and more games to the platform. As far as back catalog goes, and then, you know, like the other thing, you know, the part that would be like more on the like make people happy, you know, Games Pass it, where it's like it's a subscription service where you can like play whenever you want for as long as you want, but then also give people the option to buy them, make it discounted or don't, you know, they could go either way there, and just do it like that.
I think those are very good ideas. I think outside of those things specifically and some of the things like that, it's hard to come up with a much better thing that rides that line perfectly as middle as possible between
the most lowest common denominator people are happy with, you know, because like obviously there's the more like enthusiast side of things where it's like, I want to own, quote unquote, my video game, you know, let me download it or whatever because I own it, you know, or let me have the physical license for the video game, that sort of situation. But for the most part, most people just want access. So it's like, oh, well, if I can like play this whenever I want, as long as I have the subscription service, cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think right now, the way Nintendo's doing things is like pretty much right there as far as getting the most amount of money and making people happy at the same time. Because basically, like they could just slap a ton of games on there. You know, that could definitely happen. People would be happier about that. But like, I think they've kind of front loaded the anger for the most part and back loaded the relief or that kind of thing.
I don't know if I agree with that. Because I think that like when stuff like this happens, right? Even when they do good things with these services, there's people that get angry all over again every time a new thing happens. Like I guarantee you, a huge portion of the comments for the Majora's Mask announcement is like, oh, I can't believe you're taking the games off of Virtual Console and not letting me play Wii U, blah, blah, blah. And that happens every time they announce a new addition to Switch Online or the expansion pass. It's like, this shouldn't cost money, blah, blah, you know. So it's like, maybe like if like the ratio of like new to like outrage relative to before is like exponentially more, a year from now it'd be good, you know, like if like every month they give us 10 new games to the expansion pass or whatever, right, without fail, I could see that, like, and like new features every 2 months or whatever, right? And new platforms every 6 months, you know, like I could see a year from now people being like, okay, yeah, this is a good service. But like at the pace that they currently go, I think that the outrage machine kind of like, or not the machine, because that makes it sound like it has more impact than it does, but like the amount of people that you like see get mad about the thing would level out a bit if they if their pace was better with like how frequently they release games and services to the platform.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like I was surprised to hear somebody recently saying that like even with the Mario Kart DLC or whatever being on expansion pack, that like it's still
that
like
is not worth it.
It's a bad deal kind of thing. And I'm like,
which is crazy to me, but
sure, whatever. Like, but if like owning things specifically is of like a high priority to you, then yeah, like I could see that, because like it's not worth it, because asterisk I'm gonna own. I know exactly.
Don't own it.
Like, yeah. So, but like that whole thing. So it's it is just an interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but I think to answer like the back catalog money versus happiness question. Let people keep believing for a week that you're going to take the Wii U and 3DS eShop down,
and
so
and then just don't,
and then backpedal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then people are happy because they feel like they won, and they bought all the games that they're like, well, I mean, I never was going to buy them really, but like now I guess I bought them, so that kind of a thing.
Yep.
And then
but
people
see,
will be
like
happy
if they do that again, there's going to start
exactly.
to be people that's like,
you can only do it once. Yeah, that's your limit. Pretty much.
You can do it more than once. Sony has done it more than once. Sony does that a lot, actually. Like they make a lot of decisions that, like, they did it more than once this year with the Horizon thing, where they were like, oh, Horizon is just a PlayStation 5 game, blah blah blah.
Right.
It's on PlayStation 4. Oh, you know, it costs money to upgrade to the platform or whatever. But since we promised before that it would come to just PlayStation 5 and blah, 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 now it's on both and you can upgrade for free. Like they do it a lot. They're just better at it because like the irony of it is like a lot of Nintendo's like branding and marketing is a lot more like they're your friend, like it's only a recent thing that people are like, like Shuhei Yoshida. I don't know if you know of him. Nope. He's he's a higher up at PlayStation.
Okay.
He is like the closest that PlayStation has gotten, Sean Layden and stuff like that. They only recently got their like Owada or Miyamoto, but like they've had their freaking like high paid executives dressing up as their video game characters for the last decade plus, like Nintendo gives this outward facing thing that they're like, we're your friend, and like on some level, sure, but at the end of the day, it's like they're still a corporation. Sony, they don't really lift that veil of like they're a corporation, they're your friend, they're just like always a corporation. So when people, and Microsoft too, but I mean Microsoft less so now, they're trying to steer into the like, we're your friend skid, but also like we're your friend and we're gonna act like it consistently. We'll see if that other shoe drops. But yeah, no, I think that's a huge problem of it, is like in a lot of ways Nintendo acts like, and moves like they are friends. So when they do something that's not super friendly, people get very angry. So like it makes sense, I think, but at the end of the day, they're still freaking like a corporation. They're also charging $10 more for the PS5 digital on both. Exactly. Yeah, that's Sardi said about PlayStation. They still have that $70 purchase up for Horizon Zero.
Even though you could just buy the PS4 one and get the PS5 one.
Yep. And I guarantee you that if like you buy the PlayStation 5 version and like you realize like that day, or even if you did it by accident, because they don't make it easy, it's not simple. I think Wood beat 'em ups is still fighting with his digital copy of the video game to be able to play it. It's like he tried to download it too many times or something. But I guarantee you, if somebody bought the PlayStation 5 version or like, and they learned of the PlayStation 4 and they called up Sony before downloading it or doing anything, right? Sony, but I don't know what to tell you, man. You bought the game, that's our $10 now, fool. Like, but yeah, corporations, friends are not friends, or I don't know. There needs to be a clean separation. Like we can't argue that there are friends and also that they're just faceless corporations. I think that's my takeaway for this. Like they're one or the other.
Yeah, I feel you. I agree. And speaking of faceless corporations, us. We're not that. We're friends.
I was gonna say we
with
have
each other and
we
with
have
you.
2 faces at least.
No, but that's it. We're done with the podcast now. Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out. What's a good sign-off question? Do you what's your favorite variety of beans?
I hate them all.
That's what I
Vanilla bean.
Oh, that's what an answer.
You're two-faced? No, we have a face each, and there's 2 of us.
And I'm Two-Face from Batman. I'm Harvey Dent. Where's Harvey Dent?
Pinto, because they're Mexicans.
I would probably
we could do that. What's your favorite bean?
Yeah, some examples for like to get your balls rolling. Like refried beans, black beans, green beans. Vanilla bean. Yeah, checks out.
Jelly bean, coffee bean. That's Bob Wolf's for sure.
Oh, that's coffee beans. I didn't even think about this. They wouldn't be my favorite, but yeah.
I'm just saying that's Bob's favorite.
That's
for sure.
Makes sense. Now I'm curious. All right, let us know in the comments. And,
like, comment, subscribe, share podcast with friends, rate, review, so on and so forth. Bye-bye.
Bye.